I went to high school in Minneapolis, Minnesota. After I graduated, I went to the University of Minnesota, which was, like St. Paul, for 2 quarters. And at the end of the 2 quarters, I was feeling guilty because I wasn't coping with the war effort. Everybody that I'd gone to high school with, all the fellows were in the service. My father was objecting to the fact that the postage that he was having to put out was too much, and he told me to cut down the number of letters I was writing.
Okay.
After 2 quarters at the university, and I felt that I wasn't doing enough, I joined the Cadet Nurse Corps to try to be a nurse because they were needing nurses. And so I signed up for that. And about the time I was moving into the hospital, I realized, and looking around and seeing what it was like, that I'd made a big mistake. I'm not a nurse. Told my father that I would like very much to pay the government back. I would borrow the money from him and get out of the deal. And my father said, no, that you can't be a quitter, that you signed up for this and go ahead. So I borrowed the money from someone else, got out of the Cadet Nurse Corps. I did want to finish the quarter because the first part of the nurses training was a continuation of university, only they were different courses. They were things like anatomy, physiology, physiological chemistry, and I wanted the units, so I finished the quarter away from the hospital so that I maintained the units for the whole year. And at that point, the end of the quarter, I had a whole year of university, and I was ready to try to find some more work. My friend and I decided that the best place to go probably would be the West Coast. The rest of my mother's family had all gone to Washington, D.C. and gotten jobs with the government and so on, and I thought it would be better for me to go west. So we decided on Seattle, and we took the Greyhound, got out to Seattle, and at that point, we looked for a place to live. We found a room in a private home in a good neighborhood with a bus stop outside, which was very convenient when you don't have a car. The landlady, Hundy, talked to her about what to do, said there are two main industries in Seattle. One is Boeing, and the other is the shipyard. We decided on the shipyard and went down to their hiring office. They were hiring welders, and fine, we were hired after we signed the agreement to be part of the union, the Boilermakers, Welders, and Helpers Union. It's International Brotherhood of Boilermakers, Welders, and Helpers. My father had been, he was a personnel director for a large corporation in the Midwest, and he dealt with the unions all the time. Said I had heard the other side of the story all my life. This was different. Equal pay for equal work. And after they hired us, they sent us to school for 2 weeks to learn to weld. Well, welding was not a difficult thing. It reminded me very much of sewing. The movements in sewing are small and meticulous, and in welding, the movements are small and meticulous. The holding of the welding rod and the kind of clamp that we held it in that had carried the electricity was not heavy, and when one struck an arc, one saw the melted welding rod make a little pool of molten metal. And then the job was to nurse that molten metal across the seam that was to be done. First, the ship fitters would bring the metal pieces in, clamp them together for us, and call for a welder. Then we would come and do what is called tacking. And tacking is the same as in sewing, little tiny hold it down things, except that it's welding. The tool that we had, besides the kind of pliers that held the welding rod, was a small hammer with a sharp point. And the purpose of that hammer was to take the crust that was formed on top of the weld off. The welding rod, when it melted, made a crust, and the other thing that it made was that the welding rod coating was made a toxic smoke when it occurred. And we had learned in the welding school the safety things about the eyes and so on. The other thing was the sucker hose that we kept right next to the well to drain away the toxic smoke. I have not heard the people from the Richmond welding group ever mention the sucker hose. That was something we did. The other thing that we did was a little different. Under our helmet, we didn't wear exactly a cap. It was kind of like a pillbox hat made of soft, pliable suede, but it had a skirt sewn on it that went around, and it came down and covered our hair. At the time, you can see in my picture here that was taken, this is from my badge, that I had long hair. I would braid it in the morning and then put bright colored ribbons on it so that it could be tucked back and not get caught on fire.
Speaking of your picture, today you just...
Oh, the picture.
The visit we made today at the school, they were looking at your picture.
Oh, yes, this is the picture from my first badge. It showed me against a grid, and I've been joshed about it for many years that it looks like I had been arrested, but this is the way they took the pictures. I like to talk to the young girls, tell them how things are different but still the same. It doesn't hurt the boys to hear it either.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, some of the people that are most, I won't say touched exactly, but connected, are some of the older women. And they wonder about how somebody could leave home and, go and just do that. When the war's on and they need people to weld, and the men are all gone, of course, women were stepping up, and it was a fun thing to do, really, to weld. When you're 18, everything is fun. The first time I saw the December 7th ceremony, I was really hit because living in the Midwest, we couldn't be farther away from what was happening. Since then, when I've come, I've been equally impressed with the seriousness that people in Hawaii take December 7th. It's one of the things I bring home with me and tell that it's much more heart-wrenching here.